This is Gateways to Greatness with Rebecca Field as the host, and today I have a very special guest who has, her name is Donna Scheifler, and she has taught a beautiful class, which I was happy enough to attend, on the stages in a woman's life. And I found it extremely helpful because I've gone through these stages, but she put the icing on the cake, if you will. And so let's get started with finding out just who Donna Scheifler is. She has a most interesting life story, and so let me introduce you to Donna Scheifler. Donna, tell us about yourself.
Oh, Rebecca, it's a delight to be here, and it was a delight to have you in my 6-week program. I guess I would like to start with saying that after all I've been through, I'm still here. I find that is a theme for women later in life. And I have the opportunity now to work with women 50 plus in transition. And it's an opportunity to help the women to come back to themselves, to after having been everything for everybody else in their lives. As women, we lose touch with ourselves. And with help, we can take that journey back within and find who we really are, and then that makes all the difference. And indeed, that was the case for myself. I'm now at a time where I'm at home in myself. I have a deep inner peace that I never dreamt I could have. I'm comfortable in my skin. Now when challenges come up, I figure somehow, some way, I'll have a way of handling it, even if I don't have a clue how at the moment. And I'm sensing I've become a wise woman, a mentor, and a spiritual midwife. And I get to convene women's circles that are the very thing that was so life-changing for me in my life. So it wasn't always like this. And I often find myself going back to the metaphor, the beautiful process, the painful process of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And I sense that that is a ripe, rich metaphor for us to reflect on. And there's this quote from Jane Lee Logan that says, "Never lose hope. The butterfly is proof that beauty can emerge from something completely falling apart." And that indeed has been my experience. And as women, we can look at these stages that we see in the caterpillar and the butterfly, and give them names specific to the women's journey, the feminine journey, the heroine's journey. As you know, the caterpillar eventually goes into a chrysalis and completely falls apart and is reconfigured within that chrysalis. And science now helps us to completely more completely understand that process. And what emerges from that chrysalis is an entirely different being. But the entelechy, the seed, the potential of that butterfly existed the whole time in the caterpillar. And this is the case for us. We're putting one foot in front of the other, living our lives, doing the best we can with what we know at the time. And it's only later in hindsight, with perspective, that we can turn around and look back and see the patterns, see what has transpired along the way. And this is my joy in working with women later in life that now have that perspective. And what I've come to appreciate is one way of spelling out these stages in the life of a woman. Originally, they talked about the maiden, the mother, and the crone as the archetypes in the life of a woman. Now that we're living longer, a further stage is emerging that's not as fully formed and talked about at the moment, that we call matriarch, that comes between mother and crone. And these stages really and truly are based on what's called the blood mysteries in the life of a woman. And of course, this goes back to a time when this was all revered, when this was all honored, and we've lost that. Patriarchy came in, and this all went underground. And now, at this day and age, it's beginning to surface again, which is quite wonderful. And so
tell us, Donna, why. I can see the wonder, but I'd like to hear you tell and describe why it's so powerful.
Why the feminine re-emerging is so powerful?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Well, we have a world out of balance, need I say. We have a world with multiple problems, multiple challenges, and I dare to say all of them, at least most of them, have come about over eons from a lack of balance on the earth. When patriarchy came in and abolished the feminine, the rational took over and the intuitive went underground and was no longer respected. And with that was the lack of respect for Mother Earth. And what we are seeing in this day and age as we speak with the chaos swirling around us is the opportunity for the feminine to re-emerge and eventually down the road, who knows how long this will take, but this has been a long time in coming, to bring balance back into the reality here on the earth.
Wow.
So does that
that helps a whole lot. I think it's an important question, and you've answered it beautifully. And thank you. So carry on. Beautiful.
Yes, and in no way is this an attempt to downplay the importance of the masculine. The masculine and the feminine both have sacred expressions of themselves. Patriarchy is something entirely different. Patriarchy is power over. And so that's where you see oppression and violence and injustice. Bringing the feminine back onto the earth and having it esteemed and recognized is empowering. Mm-hmm. It's an attempt to allow everyone and everything and every entity on this earth to be esteemed and recognized as having a valuable place and role in the entire ecosystem. So I feel like the work I do with women is my contribution to the rebirth of bringing balance back onto this beautiful planet. So I'll just briefly refer to the stages in the life of a woman as I've described it, and then we can go from there. Maiden is marked at the time when a woman begins to menstruate. And this is the transition from childhood into becoming a maiden that is on the way to becoming a woman. And this is the springtime. This is springtime in the life of a woman. And everything we can say about spring is what we can say about maiden. And then as we progress, as we do with the cycle of the year into the season of summer, we have the season, the archetype of mother for a woman. Now, this is not just biologically giving birth to a child. That this mother archetype is expressed in the lives of every woman, and it's this stage where we give birth, either biologically or creatively or metaphorically, in either giving birth to a child, giving birth to a project, giving birth to whatever. Whatever it is that we find ourselves devoting our life energy towards, it's at a time in our lives where we've got lots of energy and it's very outward focused. And we just go to it. And then there comes a time, and of course, so the blood mystery there is birth. A messy process, huh? But what comes out of that messy process is new life. And in whatever form it takes shape in the life of each woman. And then there comes a time where all that we have been involved with in that very active, outward-focused stage in our lives comes to an end. The children grow up, they move out of the house, the career may end, the project is over, a relationship ends, there's death and illness, all sorts of things can happen to bring that stage to an end. We may see it coming, or it may happen very abruptly. Whichever way it happens, it comes as a big shock, and it often is very, very disorienting. Because what's happened during that stage in the mother stage, the mother archetype, is that we've identified ourselves with the role we were playing. And that indeed was the story of my life that I can get into in a little bit. Where we really and truly lose touch with ourselves. And so what we're now adding in at this time in this unfolding of the story is this stage of matriarch that's a transitional stage because we are living longer. And so I'm calling this stage, and I've gotten this from a number of other women's circles, I'm using the term matriarch. And the blood mystery connected with this stage in the life of a woman is menopause. And of course, this is ridiculed and laughed at and hardly a theme. And yet this is a really, really important time in the life of a woman. This is the time of the change, the great change. It's the opportunity for the woman to come back home to herself and to find out who she is after having given herself away over all the years in her mother stage. What's interesting is that this matriarch stage is often called a second adolescence. It's very similar to the maiden, the teenage time in our lives where our hormones are raging. And it's a very disorienting time in our lives, and we don't know who we are, and we're like the adolescent is no longer a child but not an adult yet. The same is true here. The matriarch is no longer a mother the way she was, but she's not the wise older woman, the crone that she is evolving into. So it's quite an uncomfortable stage until you begin to honor it and recognize it and cooperate, go with the flow rather than resist what's happening. And of course, if indeed that's the case, and I've lived to experience it and go through the breakdown so that you can break through, then you begin to feel yourself blossoming into this wise older woman that you hardly recognize. And yet she was alive and well within you, deep within you all along. So that's just a very general overview. And then we'll see how we're doing on timing.
We have about 4 minutes.
Okay, well maybe I'll just tease you with saying stay tuned for the next episode where I will share my own experience of going through those various stages. I have a somewhat unique story to tell. I was not a mother in a biological way in this lifetime, and yet mothering, that mother stage was very creative. I've impacted and influenced a lot of lives and made a big difference on this earth. It was all at a big price. I nearly lost myself in the process, but I'm happy to say I came through that, and I'm here to say there's life after menopause.
Well, isn't that a happy thought? I can remember, Donna, when I was at that age, and I felt like I was encased in a Christmas tree ornament, and it was very slick inside, and there was no way out, and I was driven, absolutely driven, to find out what I had come here to this planet to do, and I couldn't find it, and the finding it was the way out. And it took me till I was 72 to get a handle that I felt was kind of right about it. So yeah, it's a messy stage, and it's very painful.
Yes.
Emotionally, at least that was my experience, and there was a great deal of goodness that came with it too. But wow! So I'm so glad you've shared this, and I hope that the women who are listening will sense all these stages in themselves, and I know you helped me a great deal when I took your class recently. So I want to thank you, Donna Scheifler. You've been wonderful, and we're going to have a second interview in a short time. And so I thank you and look forward to talking to you again here on Gateways to Greatness, where we take a good look at those qualities that are enduring and meaningful, and where the soul becomes visible. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. This was wonderful.